What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another video. As always, don't forget to subscribe, turn on post notifications, follow me on IG, TikTok, Twitter, Snapchat. Story time. Before we get started, I filmed this video earlier today. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna take a quick little nap, like literally 20-minute nap, and then edit it, you know? So I take my nap, literally my makeup gets fucked up, you know, all of that. I'm disoriented. I go to edit, and the whole audio, there's like this buzzing sound. It was horrible, and I had even liked how the video turned out, but I guess it was meant to be because now the background's cuter. I'm using a different camera. I think it honestly looks better. So definitely like this video and leave a comment down below with your thoughts on anything that we discussed today. But basically, today's video is going to be a relationship, situationship, dating advice video. I'm not a professional, I'm not a dating expert, but sometimes it can be helpful to just get a second opinion, especially with someone who's like in your demographic, you know? So like I said, if you have any thoughts on anything we discussed today, leave them down below, because it's not like this is like, oh my god, my advice is the only advice, you know? It's like, we need community and other people's input sometimes, because we get different perspectives. And yeah, so some of you submitted longer like story times, and then some people just have really quick questions, so I'm going to kind of like switch off between the two. So let's start out with a story time. Okay, so this was very much relatable to me. This girl, love her by the way, but she said, so long story short, my 5-year relationship turned situationship ended last month after a dramatic turn. So my question is, how have you managed insecure men? So basically she like models and acts, and her dude was like, oh, who have you been with, like who have you seen, just kind of assuming that she's like hanging out with all these celebrities, and like she said specifically rappers, and it was beyond just like a check for sexual health concerns. I now think that it could have been a big red flag of insecurity, but the whole thing was just very strange to me. Have you ever been faced with this after bros find out about your job, and how have you navigated these conversations? So this is definitely something I've experienced, especially as someone who, you know, is online, like, you know, I be on IG, I make videos, I have more followers than, you know, someone who doesn't necessarily do that as their job, and that in itself can trigger a lot of bros. Not every bro, but you know, a lot. But then in general too, I feel like there's definitely a lot of guys who just are very insecure when they have a girl that's really poppin' or a baddie. And there's definitely a difference between like, you know, needing a little reassurance, and then, you know, something is a consistent issue in your relationship and you're constantly having to reassure someone, and it can even turn into, you know, like manipulation. Like I've definitely had friends who have had boyfriends who just like are so cruel to them and mean to them, and they just want to put this girl down so bad so that she doesn't want to, she thinks that she's, you know, they want to make you think that you're worthless so you don't go out with anyone else or don't think that you can leave. And that's like a very extreme example, but it can definitely get to that. So especially in like early dating, getting to know someone, I'm not here for that. Like, especially then when that kind of insecurity comes out, I am just going to like leave the situation, because it's only going to get worse. And especially if we're not even in a committed relationship, you have no right to act possessive or jealous or insecure. It's okay to feel that way, you know, and I'm sure we have all experienced those emotions. They're normal emotions, but there's one thing to feel it and like self-regulate, or if something's actually an issue, like bring it up to your partner. But then it's another thing to like just, I don't know, constantly bring it up for no reason, or like try to control your partner. Like that's different, because it's not really their deal unless they're actually doing something, you know, that's bothering you, you know? So as far as like what to say, definitely just be direct as possible and don't give in, or like, I mean, every situation is different, and sometimes you just have to say what you have to say to get out of the situation. But for example, there was a time where I was talking to this guy, and we were like just talking, and he was like, oh, what are you doing tonight? And I said, I'm going to this event with my friend. I literally said event. I did not say party. I did not say club. I did not say bar. I said event. For all he knows, it could have been a charity event. You know, it could have been Bible study. And instead of saying like, oh, you know, have a good time, or like, oh, like ask, I don't know, at least asking more information, he was just like, well, I hope you don't get too ratchet. And so that was like very off-putting to me, because I feel like especially when bros use that term or like words like that, they mean it to be like mean or like a put down to put it lightly. So that just like left a really bad taste in my mouth. So I was just like, do you get that vibe from me? Like, instead of being like, oh no, it's not, babe, like don't worry, because it's like, how dare you say that to me? Like, so I asked that, and then he was like, oh no, like I don't get that vibe from you, but like I don't know about your friends though. And it's like, yeah, you don't know my friends, so you literally have no, like, he was just so obviously like creating a situation in his head, because I had given him no inkling of like, I don't know, it's like you think I'm like, why are you acting like this? Because it's not a legitimate concern or something that I can like change my behavior, like, you know, it's just like you being insecure, and I can't do anything to fix that. So bye. It's just like so annoying. Like at minimum it's annoying because you constantly feel like you have to reassure someone, and also it's like I want to be with someone who's like as confident as me, you know. I want to be confident together. I want them to be like proud of me and like, this is my bitch, like yay, not like, oh, I bet you have so many guys in your DMs like that. Like, that's crazy. Like, I can't believe you gave me a chance. It's like, should I have not? Like, should I go talk to them? Like, is that what you're telling me? So yeah, at minimum it's like annoying. At most it can turn abusive and very manipulative, and they can really make it like impossible for you to leave the relationship, because they just destroy your self-esteem so much and make you feel like, you know, you don't deserve anybody. So steer clear. This is definitely red flag. I'm glad this girl is out of that situation, because you never know how that could have gone. Okay, so now looking into some more quick cues. How to tell if it's your own intuition or your own issues that makes you want to leave something. This is also a really good question, something I feel like I've been working on a lot this past year, just like trusting my intuition and recognizing my intuition. So 2 things I think. Well, first off, I feel like my intuition, because sometimes it's like, is this a gut feeling, or is this like me being paranoid, or is this me overthinking it? I feel like my intuition is always like the first feeling I have, and so often it's like overpowered or overshadowed by like an excuse, or like, oh no, well I'm sure I'm just being, you know, anxious or paranoid, or like, oh well I'm sure they don't mean it like that, or like whatever. And it's like, sometimes it can just be so subtle we don't even notice that we're doing it, but I always find that initial gut feeling to be right. Like, no offense, maybe not everyone agrees, but I feel like, at least for me, the first impression I have of anybody is usually correct. Even if it's like let's say I meet someone and I don't really like them at first, or I get a weird vibe, but then it's like, oh, I'm around them again, or we're like in a group of mutual friends, and then it's like you kind of get to know them better, and it's like, oh, okay, like I guess maybe I misjudged. But then later down the line something happens that proves your original feeling right. Like, it's that kind of vibe. That's like intuition. Or like, I feel like a big realization for me this year has been noticing how I feel like the day after a date, or like, I don't know, even like a hangout with a friend, and then like the week after. Because, you know, if I go, I've had experiences where I like go on a date and there's no glaringly obvious red flags, you know, because something like that, like, I don't know, if they're rude to a waiter, or they say something rude to you, or like they're really late, or things like that, it's like, okay, obviously that's like unacceptable. But there's been times where it's like, nothing surface level seems wrong, and I'm just like going through the motions, like enjoying the date, and then I go home. Even when I get home, it's like, okay, yeah, that was fine, like I guess, you know, I update my friends, I'm like, yeah, it was fine. And then the next day and the following, like next week, it's like I start to have just these kind of little thoughts come into my brain, or like just these little realizations or observations that maybe I wasn't aware of like on the date, and it's like, wait, he did say that, and that was kind of weird. Or like, and it's like, not that I'm sitting there thinking about it, but it's just like I'm going about my life and my day and my week, and then it's like the thoughts just kind of like, you know, it's not like you're forcing it or thinking about it or overthinking it. Like, it's just kind of, it happens. And I feel like that's like intuition. I've really noticed that if I'm on a date and there are these like little red flags, like sometimes subconsciously it's like I ignore them because I'm just trying to get through the date, because it's not like a super obvious red flag. So it's like my conscious mind is not like realizing it until later. And then if you've been drinking on top of that, especially, that can like skew your intuition and just like, you know, just add a layer of bullshit to your brain activity. Another tip and trick I have is if you're dating someone right now, talking to someone right now, and you just kind of feel like there's something wrong, but like you don't really know what it is, I would say trust the feeling, because at least for me, I know I can always think of like times or dudes I've dated that like I didn't feel that with, and it's like nothing was wrong. So it's like, I'm not feeling this for no reason. Like I know something's going on, even, or something's off, or like something's off about him. Like something is wrong. And just because I don't know what it is, like, because it's like a feeling. And again, it's not like you're sitting there thinking about it, like overthinking it, like stressing about it. Like it's just kind of like a feeling, and you're like, something is off and I don't know what it is. Like it's like that. So what have we learned? Your first initial gut feeling, or just like your first initial reaction to somebody, how you feel the day after and the week after hanging out with someone or going on a date, and then comparing, I guess, how you feel in this situation compared to how you felt in other situations. And even if you have never like dated someone who gave you like, even if you've always dated like dudes who gave you a bad feeling, it's like, just think of like a friend you have. Like you don't feel that feeling around your friend, you know, or like someone you're really close to, so why am I feeling with this person? Obviously, it's like, you know, sometimes we can just be paranoid and overthinking, but I think just really recognizing in yourself, like when you are stressing, overthinking, being paranoid, you know, maybe your own triggers are coming up, versus like when you're just kind of like, wait, something feels off. Journaling about it, like how the two feel in your body differently, like just really putting yourself back in your body, and then your body will tell you like when you're tripping and then when it's actually a bad situation. This question actually called for a bake, and like this is the same coffee I was drinking in my last video. So recently coffee is not, like my second coffee of the day has not been hitting for me, and I keep thinking it's going to, and it just keeps not. And also this cold brew today was so bad, so that really adds to why I haven't been drinking it. This person asks how to avoid the bro to crush pipeline / should I avoid it? The classic, a tale as old as time, the bro to crush pipeline. Like literally a classic, like undeniably like Renaissance. I don't know, that word just popped into my head. So the bro to crush pipeline makes sense. Okay, two thoughts. Number one, the bro to crush pipeline makes sense because if someone's your friend or your bro, you know, you're getting to know each other in a very relaxed vibe. Like I feel like you're actually getting to know each other and are like just a lot more comfortable around each other, because there's not that like pressure of, oh, we're dating and this is our first date and like these are the rules and this is what's expected, you know, which like that can be fine, but I just feel like when you get to know someone like naturally through a friendship, it's like usually a lot more comfortable. Like you actually get to know each other because there's yeah, I'm repeating myself. So it makes sense, you know. Number two, if you start to like someone, or you know, you want to tell someone you like them, or you want to fool around with them, but you're like, oh, I don't want to ruin the friendship. It's like, babe, the friendship is already ruined because you have these feelings, and you know, you're kind of like living a lie by pretending that you don't have these feelings. So it's a win-win. I mean, it might feel like a loss, but it's like, it's already a loss. Like it's not a friendship anymore. It's like you have a crush on them, or you like them, or you want to do whatever, like, you know. As scary as it may be, as much as it may feel like you're risking the friendship, might as well take that risk, because it's either like, okay, yeah, you get to be with your crush, or they're like, I don't like you like that, and then you can like get over it sooner, you know, and just like move on. It's really scary, but those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think. Yeah, best advice for pulling yourself out of a toxic situation. I would really recommend reading the book Why Does He Do That? It's not over here, I think it's in my room. But it's a whole book about, I've talked about it before, but it's about angry and abusive men and like the different types of abusive men, and it's just such an informative book. I honestly think everyone should have, like, purchase it. Like, don't just get it from the library, like purchase it. And especially every woman who dates men, even like just dealing, if you have to deal with men in any capacity, definitely read it. There's like lists of red flags, and I just feel like everyone I know who's read that book has been like, oh my god, I had so many moments where I was like mind blown because I didn't know this was a red flag, or I didn't know that this you know, I feel like it just validates a lot of the experiences that we have to go through when interacting and dating men. You know, because so often it's like, oh, I'm overreacting, I feel crazy, like, and everything is explained, and it's just like really shocking. So I would say read that book, because that's going to give you way more advice and solid information than I can right now. But I'll link it down below. All of you should check it out. It really changed my life. And I say you should like purchase it if you can, because I feel like it's something you can just always go back to. And especially if you are single and like dating different people, it's like everyone's gonna be different, and there's just so many different like types of men categorized in that, so you can just like go reference it. And it's just, I feel like it's good to have on hand. Like, honestly, a life-changing book. How to unlike a crush. Literally me. Number one, I would say, first of all, if you feel like you need to unlike them, I'm sure there's already some red flags that you're noticing. Because otherwise, you know, it's like, are you being honest with yourself about this crush? Second of all, kind of like what I said about the bro to crush pipeline thing, it's like, why, I don't know, I feel like I need more information, but I just also want to say, you know, why not take a chance, take a risk, and like, I don't know, ask them to hang out, or whatever it is you need to say to like ask for their number, or whatever it may be. And then if you like get rejected, then it's like, you know, okay, I can move on, or they'll say yes and you get to like hang out with them or be with them or whatever. But yeah, you can also just like write a list of like all their red flags, or like anything bad they've ever done, and that helps a lot. Like if you're like, oh, I know they're toxic, but like I don't know, I feel like whenever I've had to like unlike someone, it's always like I know they didn't like me back, but like, you know, they'd be hitting me up like WID, and it's like you can't give into those situations. I feel like that's a really common occurrence for a lot of us, and I feel like learning about attachment style, like for that instance, learning about attachment styles, and then like what it is that makes you want to like give into that, you know, just kind of going a little deeper with it. So I hope that's helpful. Let me know what you do to get over a crush. But yeah, those are my immediate thoughts. Someone asks, this is like a more personal to me question, but someone asks, would you date a bi guy? And I feel like 100% yes. You know that episode of Sex and the City where Carrie starts like dating a guy and she finds out he's bisexual, and she's like so traumatized by that. It's like, I think where, because I just feel like it's so frustrating sometimes to date straight men, because it's like, oh, things will be going great, like you're like, wow, you're so cool, and then they just like say something homophobic, or they just like say something misogynistic, or like like they post on their IG story like some dumb ass celebrity who like said something terrible. What do women bring to the table? And it's just like, so this is how you really feel? Like but I just feel like guys that have like embraced their sexuality are just a lot more like not like that. So I just feel like not having that dread would really be amazing. So those are my thoughts, and if you feel uncomfortable by that, you need to address your internalized homophobia. Just being honest. Second bit. Horrifying. There was another, I'm gonna answer another when okay, I have a story time. I have a guy friend who I chill with every now and again, and we've hooked up and aren't interested in each other for a relationship, which is all good on both ends. But the last time we chilled, the sex was just not it. I'm not sure how to tell him, hey, I really don't want to do this anymore because it's not working, without sounding like an asshole. Since we're friends, I think he'd appreciate the feedback, but I don't know. So I want to ask, my like immediate thought is to ask like, oh, is it just like, you know, maybe something he tried that you're not into, so you could just be like, oh, like maybe instead of this we could do this, or like let's do more of this, you know. But it sounds like you're, maybe you have the ick, like you're just like 100% over it, in which case I would say be direct, but not super direct, like not so honest, but just like, hey, this isn't working for me anymore, so Yeah, like literally that. Like, hey, this isn't working for me anymore. I'm no longer interested. Or like, yeah, I feel like, you know, most people, but I feel like especially men, are very sensitive when it comes to like that kind of stuff. So he would, like, I don't know, I could just see you're like from your perspective, our perspective, it's like, oh, well, you know, I want to help him out by giving him some feedback, but it's like that would probably like crush his soul. I mean, you know him obviously better than me, but I'm just thinking about men in general, like, you know, so just saying, oh, this isn't working for me anymore. And then if he asks why, you could just like make up a white lie, honestly, like, oh, I'm just not interested in casual encounters anymore, or like, I don't know, oh, I started seeing someone, I want to see where it goes, or like, oh, I'm celibate, I want to be celibate for a little bit, or like, oh, I've just been really busy. Also, depending, it sounds like you guys kind of have like a relationship, so I don't know, it's like if it was something where you hit each other up like once a month, or like once every few weeks, or once every few months, I feel like you could get away with, you know, just being like each individual time being like, oh, I'm busy, or like have an excuse instead of saying directly like, this isn't working for me anymore. But to me, this situation sounds like you guys have a little bit more of a relationship than that, even if it is casual. So probably, yeah, like being direct and being like, this just isn't working for me anymore, no hard feelings, like no tea, no shade. It's like, it is tea, it is shade, but he doesn't necessarily need to know that, you know. If he really presses you, you could be honest, but I feel like in general, like most dudes like don't care, don't want to know. So yeah, let me know what you would do. But honestly, good for you, sis, for removing yourself from the situation when it's not satisfying to you, like period. Especially with casual encounters, it's like the least that I can gain is enjoying this. So good for you, like period. Sorry, trigger warning, men. How to keep independence while in a relationship. So for me, this just really reminds me of like friends I've had that have been in relationships that I suddenly never hear from again, and then friends who still, you know, our relationship doesn't change. I still see them the same amount, I talk to them the same amount, we still do stuff together, go out together, even though they are in a relationship. So I think just being conscious of that, and like having your own life, like doing things, having your own interests that doesn't involve your partner. And that doesn't mean like, I don't know, you can't talk about it with them, or like share it with them, or I don't know, do it with them sometimes, whatever it may be. I don't know, it's like a hobby. But like having your own time and your own friends, and like still making time for your friends and, you know, your family and like people in your life. That's like so important. And I know, like, especially when you first get to know someone, it's like you're infatuated with them and you just want to be with them all the time, but you just have to like keep that balance. You just have to ask yourself, like, what kind of friend do I want to be? Like, what kind of friend would I want? Not someone who's gonna just blow us all off all the time because they got into a relationship. That's so annoying, like, seriously. So those are my basic thoughts. Again, let me know what you think. Another personal question, do you have someone who is the one that got away? What's the story behind that? So I definitely, no shade, no tea if we ever talked, I really don't feel like I have that. And I feel like because I've been on this journey, you know, of like being more confident and setting boundaries and like really figuring out what I want out of a relationship and like how to ask for that, I feel like I'm like on this like path of like attracting, not to be like attracting like manifestation, but just like of getting closer and closer to that, you know. Like I've definitely dated people who have been like really great, but it's like I just don't identify as much. I just feel like I have grown and evolved so much since then, whenever it may have been, that it's like I wouldn't want to go back to that. I don't feel like I lost anything, or like, oh, they're the one that got away. It's like, well, I've grown and changed since then, so I want someone who's like in alignment with the person I am now, you know? So no tea, no shade. Like, to all my TBTs, love you guys. It was fun. How to get through the boring no crush vibe. Honestly, I just be really keeping myself busy, like getting a lot more into the gym, hanging out with my friends more, like going out. And then it's like you meet people too, so it's like easy to get a new crush if that's what you want. Just focusing on work, doing a lot more, like, I don't know, for me it's always like when I'm doing a lot of yoga and meditation, I'm like in my zone and I'm like focus on me hours, you know, versus if you're like talking to someone, it's like you're like staying up late, you're like drinking more, you're like your sleep schedule is off. So it's like, let's bring all of that back. Let's focus on myself, my mental health, my physical health, my emotional health, and just enjoy my life and enjoy my own company. I hope that's not too like vague, but that's like genuinely how I feel when I don't have a crush or anything. It's just like me time fully. So I think that's it. I'm just making sure I'm not missing anyone. So let me know if you want me to do another one of these videos. I love sharing my thoughts with you guys, and again, let me know what you would do in any of these situations down below, because I feel like we all go through such similar things while dating and just in life in general, but specifically this. So let me know your thoughts so that I can refilm this video. Mercury retrograde, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye everyone.